how do we get better at instilling that energy in our clients to just post content when sometimes they're feeling insecure or they don't want to post something?
Honestly, as being a coach, the best thing that we can do is encourage people and give them advice, but if they don't like something, then they just simply not gonna put it out. I've seen the most high level people be insecure about their bodies, and it's just like,
That's very true.
you can't.
That's very true.
It's not, like I said, there's only so much coaching that you can do until somebody's actually confident enough to put stuff out there. But the best thing that we can do from the outside looking in, because we're not those people, is just instilling confidence within that person and encouraging that person or that company to put content out. That's really all you can do, because they're not going to put it out until they're ready to put it out, no matter what type of encouragement or we give them. So
Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Jasmine.
my name is Matthew Cohn.
And this is the 1% Better Everyday podcast, where there's a space for entrepreneurs to connect, learn, and win while we're navigating business and life together. So today we want to go ahead and we always start our podcast with a shout out. And today we want to go ahead and shout out.
The last episode we shouted out
The word.
the word.
Yeah, nobody else commented, so.
We ain't got no other shout outs ready?
We've already shouted out a lot of the same people. That's why I was trying to use somebody different, but we can just go ahead and shout somebody out. So Sales Girly Angela on one of her reels said, love this format in terms like the reels. So if you guys don't follow us on Instagram, I would suggest to go follow us, because that is where we post a lot of like the shorts in terms of a long form content. Are you a service-based entrepreneur that provides some kind of service, but you don't know how to create content in order to convert someone from following you into a paying client? I'm going to tell you exactly what to post in order to start generating more leads, attract high paying clients, and get more DMs than you can possibly answer. I will help you how to find your niche, how to find your target audience, and craft offers that will attract top buyers every time you go to make a post. Text me content to 513-516-7332 to learn more on how you can get mentored by me for only $99 a month. So thank you guys so much for following us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And today I wanted to talk about what is even like a digital footprint. And the reason I wanted to bring up this topic was because there are so many like different areas we can go in this conversation, but also because I saw that on TikTok recently where they were talking about how to keep a clean digital footprint. And I'm like, I don't understand this new lingo, these new terms. I want to talk about it. Like, what is even a digital footprint? So I looked it up, and it said a digital footprint is pretty much the trail of data that you leave behind every time you use the internet. And again, it's so interesting because I work in social media, but every single day or every single year, you hear these new terms and you're like, what are people coming up with? But this totally makes sense, because I remember like even back when we were younger, we were always told like, be careful what you put on the internet, like the internet lives forever, and just being careful with what you put on social media. But going into that conversation, I wanted to go into, do you ever get nervous about putting anything on the internet?
No.
Why not?
I just don't.
But why?
Because I don't. Like, I don't know how else you want me to explain it.
What is the reason behind it? Because
Behind my feelings?
Maybe everybody so I want to go into, because we are coaches. At the end of the day, like, you run a video production company, I run a social media management company, and I think a lot of the times we're always coaching people on helping them show up on camera, because I think sometimes we are our biggest critic and we are insecure about things that other people don't pay attention to. But I guess my question is like, how do we get better at instilling that energy in our clients to just post content when sometimes they're feeling insecure or they don't want to post something?
That's honestly a really good question. Like, I've seen I've dealt with all types of people. I've dealt with people that have had 1 million followers. I've dealt with people that have had 10 followers. I've dealt with people that have 500 followers. I've dealt with people that had 5 followers. Like, I think is honestly, as being a coach, the best thing that we can do is encourage people and give them advice. But if they don't like something, then they just simply not gonna put it out. I've seen the most high level people be insecure about their bodies, and it's just like
That's very true.
you can't.
That's very true.
Like I said, it's only so much coaching that you can do until somebody's actually confident enough to put stuff out there. But the best thing that we can do from the outside looking in, because we're not those people, because again, like you said, I don't get nervous about posting stuff, is just instilling confidence within that person and encouraging that person or that company to put content out. That's really all you can do, because they're not going to put it out until they're ready to put it out, no matter what type of encouragement or
Yeah.
we give them. So
Yeah, it's very true. I want to go back to like the digital footprint, but and I want to like break it down, because even this is like a new term for me where I'm just now hearing about this on the internet. And I think that, something that we've always said is not that you have to be careful what you post, but you have to be really intentional with what you post. I feel like that's something that you've been saying it more than I have since the beginning. But what is an active digital footprint? And it's the things that you choose to share, like social media posts, comments, reviews, filling out forms, or signing up for emails. So all of that is your digital footprint. And so I take it back to why, and again, it goes back to sometimes we are our biggest critic, but yeah, why are we sometimes so critical of ourselves to put ourselves on camera out there when sometimes we're sharing information through forms such as our address, our social security, all this information that could be leaked. But again, I think sometimes it is because of the lack of confidence. And I was even thinking about that. I'm like, well, how do you gain that confidence when you don't like certain things about yourself?
well, the way you can gain that confidence is being successful at posting, being successful at doing it consistently, where you don't have to, where you at a certain point, you don't really care too much about what people say. But that comes with the consistency of doing the same thing over and over again, which builds your confidence. And then once you have confidence in yourself, you can easily do that task because you're not worried about what other people have to say about you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes back to something that we always say, that you grow confidence through the repetition of doing what you said you were going to do. And I think sometimes it can be a little bit nerve-wracking when we're looking at ourselves on camera and we're like, oh, we haven't kept up those gym goals that we said that we were going to do. But it takes me back, because I don't want to get off topic, but it takes me back to like your digital footprint is like, if you want to put yourself out there, if you choose to put yourself out there, you also have to realize that you may not like every single angle, you may not like some angles, but at the same time, you can choose what you want to put out there. And it's also an investment for your long-term like growth or just you. Because I think sometimes too, what I've realized is that some people don't even want to start their digital footprint, or it goes back to that fear, right? Like fear of what are people going to say? What are people going to, how are people going to judge me? It's like, and it takes me back to that reel, because in the reel they were talking about how to keep a clean digital footprint. And in my head, I'm thinking like, why are you so worried about keeping a clean digital footprint? It's almost like in real life where we're trying to be like this perfect person, or never show any insecurities, or never show that we're imperfect. And I'm always the first one to laugh at myself, because I have a lot of cringy, I have a lot of, what do you call it? Pisces moments. I have a lot of like just silly, dumb moments. And something that's really interesting now that I bring up this topic, I was watching a podcast recently and they were saying how you do want to almost make fun of yourself, or like make fun of yourself in a like witty way, like, oh well, like at the end of the day, what's gonna happen? You're not gonna die, you're still gonna be alive, and the next day is gonna come around. So going back to your digital footprint, like I think that sometimes we do get in our own head, and it doesn't always have to be perfect, because I think in social media sometimes people don't want to share things because they think like, oh, what if our opinions change 3 years from now, or 2 years from now, or 5 years from now? But I mean, that's human beings. We're always going to change and evolve, and our thoughts are going to change. So going back to like the passive digital footprint, passive digital footprint can look like, data collected about you through websites, through cookies, through ads. And again, I bring this up because obviously it's harder said than done, but I think that if you're worrying about your digital footprint and keeping it clean, then that's always going to hold you back from showing up.
Well, I mean, you don't need to show up on social media if you work for somebody. If you work a 9 to 5 or anything like that, you don't have to show up. You're only showing up on social media because you want to be seen. So people don't want to.
I don't agree. I think that you can still work on a 9 to 5 and show up. How would they
Yeah, but why?
start their business?
Why would I? But I'm working 9 to 5. I don't want to be a business owner.
What if they're okay? You're saying you don't want to be a business owner?
Yeah, you got to look at the other side of what we used to be, or what we wasn't, or what we don't want to be. A lot of people don't want to be business owners. A lot of people don't want to be putting themselves out there. So that's an important way to protect your digital footprint, because you worried about your job and your family. You don't need to be on social media. You're just there for entertainment. So none of that stuff will matter to you anyway. But for us to get exposure to our business and exposure to other people and entrepreneurs and business owners and stuff like that, it just boils down to what you want to showcase to your audience and what you're trying to sell to your audience at the end of the day. And we control what we put out.
Yeah, but I also don't think that just because you don't have a business isn't a reason why you shouldn't put yourself out there. Because I've talked to a lot of people that they're like, oh, I want to start this business. They have like an idea. They have a little hustle or whatever it is. And I think a lot of the times they get held back by their own families or what other people are going to help. Again, it goes back to the fear of what people are going to say. And I say that to say that if you're someone that has a side hustle, if you're someone that is maybe thinking about starting a small business or an entrepreneur, your digital footprint doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, I think you guys have seen it through us. Like, sometimes I go back and look at my YouTube or some of my videos from the beginning and I'm like, that was so bad. It was so awful. I could barely talk. I wasn't even making any sense. I was saying like. And over time, you just get better and obviously you grow. But it takes me back to even think about some of your first YouTube videos. Remember when you were starting to make long form content and you were like, I was talking too much, I was rambling, and now look how much better you've gotten. So I know it's harder said than done, but I'm just curious, and maybe you guys can drop it down in the comments, like how have you guys overcome that of just putting the content out there and not being afraid of what people are going to say? I think it gets easier over time, but I definitely experienced that more at the beginning. Matt, I need your help growing my social media audience.
All right, guys, if you need help growing your social media audience, make sure you text 602-390-7002. Once again, it's 602-390-7002. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have this business, I wouldn't be on social media. I think social media is a complete distraction. I think it deters people away from doing what they really need to be doing in life. I think social media is a cancer. It can be a serious cancer, and I think it's not meant for everybody to be on. I feel like if you don't have a business, and if you're not trying to create exposure for yourself or anything like that, you do not need to be on social media. I've seen it just completely ruin people. But
I think it's also the person.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
That's what it boils down to.
I wouldn't say that because I feel the complete opposite, where I feel like, correct, not everyone should be on social media, but I also feel like social media is such a big opportunity nowadays. Social media has created more opportunities for us than ever before. I wouldn't have my job if it wasn't for social media. And I think it all depends on the person, how you use it.
Yeah.
So I think that, correct, if you are building a brand, if you are building exposure and you have a business, you should build it. But also don't get discouraged if you don't have a business, because I just think about myself, and even before I had a business, I had no idea what to post. I didn't even know what a content creator was. I was actually that person making fun of content creators. And then now look at me 5 years later, I became a content creator. So
because you found a purpose.
Because I found a purpose within it. Correct. It can be distracting and it can be like a tool where
it's not helpful.
Where you can it's not helpful and you can start to compare yourself, but at the end of the day, I think it's all perspective in the person. Because the right person will create opportunities out of it, and the wrong person will look at it
use it as a distraction.
And use it as a distraction or just as a void. Because I've heard this a lot, as a way to escape reality.
1000%.
But then again, I'm like, if you think about it, Because social media has just given me so much purpose to get to know myself even better, to see myself. Like, something that I've heard from creators a lot too is that they actually are very thankful for social media, because think about it, if you weren't on social media,
That's not good, by the way.
if you weren't on social media, how many times would you actually look at yourself on camera? How many times would you actually see what you look like, what you talk, how
Yeah,
you
for
communicate?
what? But for what though?
So you
That's
can,
not-
so
you
you can
shouldn't-
get, so you can get better in life.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be finding yourself on Instagram. You should be finding yourself in real life, because Instagram is not real. All these social media
What do you mean?
platforms. and
Oh, okay.
You
Keep
said
going on that path.
You said
Yeah.
you're finding yourself, and you should. That's not a good thing.
I don't think I'm saying like, oh, you rely on social media for them to give you validation and they tell you who you are and you
That's
find
what it is.
yourself.
At the
That's
end
not
of the
what
day,
I'm
it's
saying.
validation.
I think what I'm saying is that correct, and I want to distinguish the two things, because that can happen with creators where they become so attached to the likes and the views and the numbers and what are people saying about me today and the validation and I'm just gonna be honest, I kind of almost fell into that trap where I was like, oh, it's social media, and then you kind of always bring me back
To reality.
to
bro.
reality, and you're like, well, how is this helping your business? How is this helping?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that's a thin line, because it's like, I do want to create social media for my business, but I've even told you this, is that when I started social media, I wasn't even getting paid from it. Like, I genuinely was doing social media because it was a passion of mine to educate people and to make other people feel like their story was valid and their experiences were valid, because I didn't see that growing up.
Yeah, these social media platforms got life fucked up. Imagine if Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn was not paying these content creators to create content. You think they'll be on social media? Fuck no, they wouldn't be on social media. They're getting a validation from the checks that these social media platforms are sending them, and they're not educating nobody. You just on there posting pictures. You're not helping nobody achieve no goals.
Yeah, but you can't say that they're not helping people because you don't know what their messages look like.
But-
That's what I'm saying.
but I
think
know what we're
because
talking
we
about the
have-
people that
because
don't
we
have a message.
Because we have this platform, I think we also have to be responsible to know and understand.
What about the people that don't
what
have no
we're-
message?
What we're saying.
And they just posting pictures just to be posting pictures. Because
Somebody,
they getting paid.
somebody might message them and say, "Girl, you got the prettiest skin. You inspired me to go get my skincare
That's
routine." and check."
validation. Again, that goes back to my point. That's validation from
for
somebody
who?
from
For
somebody
who?
else.
For the person that's commenting.
Yes, because then you looking at it like, oh man, that's something that I want to be, that I strive to be. You found validation in somebody else for a direction.
We need
that
to
you
look up
wanna
what the
go
word of
into.
validation means, because I don't think that's what validation means.
You literally looking up to somebody that's on a fake platform that's not real.
I would say that more so inspires you to get better with your skincare
You shouldn't
routine.
be getting inspired off of social media. That's what I'm trying to say.
Why not?
Because that's not valid. That's you validating yourself. You saying, "Oh snap, I see something that looks good, and I want to strive to be like that. So I want to validate myself." Does that make sense?
No. Okay. So let's hear him out. Let's keep going with this path.
That's all I had to
So why are you posting videos for your clients to see what kind of videos you can create when you're inspiring them? When
you
you're
already talking about clients.
When
That's a
you're
business.
when you're inspiring
We're
them.
not talking about a business.
Listen, Linda, you cut me off. Did
We're
you
not
see
talking
this?
about a business
Did you
owner.
see this?
'Cause you talking about
Live on
business.
camera. Live
You
on
talking
camera.
about
You're
business.
cutting me off. You didn't even let me finish. Somebody could look at your video and they could feel inspired and want to be like you and be like, "Oh, I want reels like that," because they saw you.
Because that's a business owner. I'm not talking about a business owner. I'm talking about somebody that don't have a business. They don't need to be on social media.
Who are you to say that?
I am. I'm mad. I have every right to
Who
say
are you
that.
to say that?
I have every right to say that. You should not be on social. If you don't have a business, you work a 9 to 5, you have a family, and you taking care of
I
your
think
shit.
that's called a
you do-
dictatorship.
You do not. No, I'm just saying. You just don't need to be on social media. It's a distraction. It's even a big. That's the reason.
Comment
let me
down
bring it
below.
up.
Do you understand what he's saying? Who do you agree with?
Let me bring this up. The people that pay me to run their social media, they not even looking at their social media because it's a distraction.
No, they're not.
They paying somebody else to take care of it because they don't have time to be looking at it because they have other stuff to do.
So are we all paying somebody else to do social media for us?
What you mean?
Because one day we're not going to be able to handle our social media. So are we going to pay somebody
Why
else?
you say one day we're not gonna be able to handle our social media? You were saying as if I'm going to be too big to be able to handle that. I don't want to get to that point. Because then there's a disconnect from your people. It's just, but that's just my way of thinking. I
So
know.
you want to stay a small business
Yeah, I
forever?
want to stay. I don't want to be famous. I don't want
You
to
want to
have.
stay a small business forever?
I want to stay
A
in my little.
small business.
Yes,
So you're a
1000%.
small business owner.
Yeah, 1000%.
So you are in the hashtag small business community.
What are you saying this for? For what?
Because.
Get back to the point. The point was having social media and whether or not you need to
Sorry,
be on social
I
media.
didn't
or
mean
not.
I didn't mean that like shade as in small business owner. I meant more so like.
It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point
Okay.
of it is whether or not you should be on social media if you have a business or if you don't have a business, and whether or not it's a distraction. And at the end of the day, social media is a complete distraction if you don't have a business or if you're not striving to be a business owner or getting better at something.
I like what you said, getting better at something. Because that's what I'm saying.
You don't
is,
have
like,
to be on social
no,
media to
that-
get better.
That's a. Okay, you're right.
In self-development, you don't have to. You can go to. I mean, YouTube is a form of social media. But
No, that's
books and
true.
stuff
But
like
I think
that,
as me as a social media manager and marketer, I always like to say that social media can create so many opportunities for you, even if you feel like,
now you're talking about being a business owner.
even if you feel like you're not ready yet or you don't have something to give. But that kind of also goes back because you just made me think about that.
If
but
you ain't
that,
got nothing to
but
give,
that
stay the
also
fuck off social media.
that also goes back to like you need to find out who you are before you get on social media.
Or
And
you're
maybe
going-
that's just an unpopular opinion because some people, to your point, some people will say, well, post everything on social media, share your whole life, and then that's how you start discovering yourself because you start getting in the practice of getting a feel of what you like and what you
That's
don't.
validation from a social media platform that does this shit is fake. You want to go find yourself on the internet because you can't find yourself in real life. You finding out the fake stuff. You're finding out the fake validation, the popcorn success, because you can't find yourself in real life, so you want to show the internet so you can find yourself. That's terrible. That's like the wrong way of doing life because we're seeking validation from people we don't even know. We don't have a real human connection with.
Okay, well, let's define what validation is. Validation is recognition that someone's feelings, experiences, or actions are real and make sense.
Facts.
Okay, so hear me out. Somebody posting a skincare routine, skin pictures, and then that person getting inspired by them. How are they getting recognition? Oh, that their feelings, recognition that someone's feelings, experiences, or actions are real and make sense. How are they getting validation that their actions make sense?
Because they're gonna look at that post and be like, "Oh man, that's a good skincare routine. I should try it for myself." And then they're gonna try it for themselves, and then they're gonna look at themselves after they did what they've been inspired by to get validation for what they just did.
Okay, and then there's two types. There's emotional validation, which means that you're acknowledging someone's feelings without judging them. Or there's social or external validation, which I think is what you're talking about with social media, which is like you need approval or affirmation from others.
And that's what it boils down to. But let's wrap this up because that light about to cut off.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I know we talked about it a lot. But that was the whole point of this is, I guess to end it off,
If you don't have a business, get the fuck off social media. I'm telling you right now, it's a distraction.
yeah. But also to end it off too, your social media presence doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect to start. When we started
Why are you starting?
And when we started our social media presence, think about you. When you started your reels and your graphics.
Business. My first post was business. The previous account before that was a bunch of bullshit. I have all those pictures. I stopped. I deleted my Twitter. I deactivated my Facebook. I didn't use my Instagram
So
because
you're
I
saying
didn't
that
need to
you
be
didn't
on
post
there.
on Instagram or anything until after?
Yes, I completely stopped because it was a distraction. I did not need to be on there. I had a job. I was taking care of the kids at the time.
I do agree with
complete
that because I didn't
distraction.
start my Instagram until I started my business. But my whole point is that I started YouTube before I ever had a business.
Why?
Remember those nonprofit organization videos that I was creating
That's
because
still
I
a
wanted
business.
because I wanted to educate people.
That's still a business.
I wasn't making money from that.
But that's still a business.
I wasn't
you don't
making
have to
money
be
from
in.
that.
You don't
So do
have
you want me to
make
look
money.
up the definition of a business?
You don't have to make money to be in business. You know that. Come on now.
Let's ask ChatGPT. Do you have to make money?
Fuck
Do you have
ChatGPT.
to make
Fuck ChatGPT.
Do you
Stop
have-
looking at ChatGPT to get all your
stop
answers to
cutting
your
me off.
questions, bro.
Stop cutting me
You
off.
got to stop doing that. Stop going to ChatGPT.
Do you
for
have to make
everything.
money in order to be classified as a business? We are feisty on this episode. No, you do not have to make money to be classified as a business.
Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
But what actually makes a business? A business is defined by intent, not profit. Oh.
Your intention was to
You
get
can make
knowledge and
$0
information
and
and
still be a
education out.
business. Okay.
But other than that, you wouldn't have been on YouTube.
We're wrapping it up, but it goes back to YouTube. Like even on YouTube, technically it was a brand, but I wasn't making money. But I wanted to educate people.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have been on YouTube if you wouldn't have been trying to do that.
So I had a purpose behind it. I guess is what you're saying first.
Yes.
Anyways, you guys, we want to wrap this up, but I think the moral of the story of today is that whether you're a brand, you're a business that wants to start on social media for a purpose, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, and sometimes all you have to do is just post it. Don't look at it again, just post it.
Create a digital
Because we
footprint.
are our worst critic, and we will always find flaws, and they will always be there. So just post it, and it's gonna pay off in the long run. But that is it, you guys. We will see you guys in the next episode. Let me know who you agree with in the comments.